Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Before we start this presentation, let me introduce our group. We are from Group 4, which consists of 6 students. There are Muhammad Diaul Muafi, with the student ID number 193200017, Fatica Faridisa Putri Adila, with the student ID number 193200070, Pradipta Priwidiya Nindita, with the student ID number 193200077, Bagus Amantubila, with the student ID number 193200086, Trisa Ardiansyah, with the student ID number 193200088. The last, Amelia Putri Julianti, with the student ID number 193201114. So, in here, we will discuss about structuralist literary criticism on Edmund Waller's Go Lovely Rose. Structuralism. In literary theory, structuralism challenged the belief that a work of literature reflected a given reality. Instead, a text was constituted of linguistic conventions and situated among other texts. Structuralist critics analyzed materials by examining underlying structures, such as characterization or plot, and attempted to show how these patterns were universal and could thus be used to develop general conclusions about both individual works and the system from which they emerged. Structuralism, in a broader sense, is a way of perceiving the world in terms of structures. The fundamental belief of structuralism that all human activities are constructed and not natural or essential pervades all seminal works of structuralism. Structuralism, first seen in the work of anthropologist Claude Lévi-Strauss and the literary critic Roland Barthes, the essence of structuralism is the belief that things cannot be understood in isolation. They have to be seen in the context of larger structures they are part of. The context of larger structures do not exist by themselves, but are formed by our way of perceiving the world. Structuralism tries to reduce the complexity of human experiences to certain underlying structures which are universal, an idea which has its roots in the classics, like Aristotle, who identified simple structure as forming the basis of life. Structuralists believe that the underlying structures, which organize rules and units into meaningful systems, are generated by the human mind, and not by sense perception. A structure can be defined as any conceptual system that has three properties. Wholeness. The system should function as a whole. The second, transformation. The system should not be static. And the last, self-regulation. The basic structure should not be changed. Actually, structuralism became a major post-war intellectual movement in Europe and the United States.
To a man who desires a woman, he will praise her and loves her unconditionally. From man's perspective, the woman they love always seems beautiful. Go Lovely Rose by Edmund Weller tells that he praises a woman he loves and sees her beauty as the rose. But the woman doesn't want to be admired by him. She hides from him from the world, veiling her beauty. As in the last two lines of the second stanza in Deserts, where no man abide, thou must have uncommanded died. The poet refers a rose to her, a rose that grows in the middle of a desert where no man could see. It only wastes its time waiting to wither and die. The last stanza starts out shockingly. Again, the poet compares her to the rose, which is the same mortal entity. Both have short time to live. In the last stanza, the poet forces her to recognize his feeling, to accept him as her partner, not to waste her beauty and both time because they are mortal beings that could die at any time. Finally, the theme of the poem is Carpe Diem, or seize the day. It means not wasting the beautiful youth in order to take advantage of what what life has to offer before youth passes her by. Then, to motivate an individual to shine, not sit down in the darkness waiting to wither. With this analysis, I cite some words from Lewis. He states that not all structuralists will interpret the same text in the same way, even if they use the same approach.
The next intrinsic element on the poetry is rhyme and symbol. In rhyme, "Go Lovely Rose" is a lyric poem that as it expresses the thoughts and feelings of the author, and also its form alternates between iambic dimeter and iambic tetrameter, and also it has an ABABB rhyme, same and throughout all four of its stanzas. And the next is symbols. Rose. Rose is a symbol of a romantic in this poem, and also it represents affection, and the most importantly it represents beauty of the woman.
Well, my name is Amelia Putri Julianti. In this slide, I'd like to explain about figurative language. There are several controlling figure of speech or figurative language of poem Go Lovely Rose. One is personification. Personification of the rose. Speaker use it to communicate with the woman. Personification treats a thing as human being. In this poem, the speaker turns the rose into a person that will deliver a message to the young lady. 2. The poem is an extended metaphor. Compares the rose to the woman he admires, the example when I resemble her, or woman he admires, to the tea or rose, because they are both sweet and fair and rare. These similarities make the rose an effective messenger. A metaphor compares one thing to an unlike thing without using like, as, or than. In Go Lovely Rose, the speaker compares the rose to a young lady he hoped to court. And 3. Repetition. Repetition of the word sweet and fair emphasize the woman's image and the similarities she has to the rose. And next, the diction. The diction is simple yet it conveys exactly how the speaker is feeling and the things he wants the rose to do. And next, the tone. The tone of this poem is convincing towards the rose and the woman. The tone changes to a more serious note as the shift occurs to indefinitely convince the woman she should be with this man or with the man. And last but not least, the poem also uses alliteration, as in the following example: lovely rose, now she knows, sweet and fair she seems to be, that heart too sprung, suffer herself to be desired, that are so wondrous sweet and fair. Whereas alliteration is a consonant in several successive syllables, usually the first syllable of each word.
Tone. The tone in stanzas 1 until 3 seems to really describe admiration for his lover, but it is different in stanza 4. The sudden change in the tone of the poem really surprises the reader. He asks Rose that roses must die after giving birth to a message because he thinks in the death of roses he might understand the comfort of all things rarity, which means that beauty and youth do not last forever, they are just a part of human life to be enjoyed. After doing this, the woman would be surprised to understand that she too was subject to the comfort of all rare things. He felt as if he did not understand that one day he would die. If he was able to convey that fact to her, perhaps she would be more motivated to come to him. And the last one, imagery. In stanza 1, rose is described as a form of beauty. To convince his girlfriend that he really admires it from her, and she wants the rose to his lover. As the reader, you can imagine rose something is beautiful. In stanza 2, rose grows up in a desert where no one lives. In this section, she will imagine, if he still tries to convince her to raise his opinion of her, but at the same time shows her that otherwise her beauty will be in vain. Because you can imagine, rose grow up in the desert where no one lives. It means that no one enjoys about your beauty. In stanza 3, beauty from the light retired, hence for her that she should get out. Through the inherent beauty of the rose, it will convince a woman to step into the light that is her gaze. It means it will be make her imagine, if the beauty is from the light retired, that it means you should to step into the light. In stanza 4, it's just a figurative language for imagery, because which is used to mentally convince her lover that beauty do not last forever to be enjoyed. In this figurative language, she will imagine that why the roses suddenly die. It means that beauty, younger, is not forever. Everything will be gonna be die. So that is force her to be get out, let the beauty of her is enjoyed.
Okay, I think that's it for our member on group 4, which we explain about structuralist literary criticism on E. Weller's Call of Leros. That's it all. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.